Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Dr. Carmen Bryan, and this is Car Chronicles. How you guys doing? You doing all right? Well, let's do this. Did you know that the longer that you stay in abuse, the more you become adjusted to your environment? And the more you become adjusted to your environment, the more immune you become to the trauma or the dangers that surround you. If you are in a toxic environment, eventually you begin to adapt. Your body begins to adapt. Your lungs begin to adapt. You begin to adapt to your environment. Now, I'm not saying that as you're adapting, because it gets to a point where you don't smell the environment, you don't feel the vibrations of the environment, especially like if you're in a place where there's tremors on the ground, and in the very beginning, you're sensitive because you can feel the tremors, especially in those areas that may be, earthquake areas or whatever. The plates are shifting and stuff. You become immune to it. You become desensitized to it. Or people that, for example, hoarders, or people that have hoard animals, dogs and cats. Well, they become immune to the smell because they're around the smell so much. They come out, everyone else will smell them, and it's a horrible smell, but they become nose blind. So they become adjusted to their environment. They become immune to their environment. Likewise, for those of you that have been in situations for so long that you have become immune to the dangers around you to a point where you have become desensitized. I remember telling this story before, and I know the young lady, me and her still talk. It's been years. It's like, I think during or after the pandemic, where she and I were having a discussion because the gentleman that she was with was a former Marine. And she had a beautiful dog. She bought this really expensive, beautiful dog. And it wasn't a husky. It was another beautiful dog that she purchased. But she said that he would abuse that dog. She said that she wouldn't witness it, but she knew when she came home. She said she can just see that something was going on with this dog, and he would abuse the dog. I don't know if she set up cameras where she saw it, but she found out he was abusing the dog. And what ended up happening is he ended up unaliving the dog and hiding the dog's body. And the thing is she still to this day, she can't figure out where the dog was at. And she was the person on the inside she was the person on the inside. We were the people on the outside looking in. And by looking in on the situation, I finally had to tell her, and me and my mom had to let her know that he was practicing what he was planning on doing to you, because he had already threatened her in many different forms where it wasn't a direct threat, but he had already threatened her. And so now he had practiced on the dog to see if he would get caught. And I had to tell her, and then my mother had to tell her, that he's practicing what he's planning on doing to you. And she says, "Are you sure?" It wasn't until years later, after she was outside of the event, that she began talking about it. And she was really appalled. She was shocked at the fact that she had become so desensitized to him that she didn't believe that he would have the capacity to do something like that to her. I said, when they begin to attack your fur babies, when they start to attack your animals and do things to your animals, they're practicing as to what they're going to do to you. Especially if you're dealing with a malignant narcissist, or overt or a malignant narcissist that don't care, where the malignant is also the true nature of the malignant is a narcissist that also has narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder. Some of them do have sociopathic tendencies, or sociopaths and psychopaths, and some of them, depending on which one they are, they have no remorse, they have no feelings of guilt, they have no empathy, they don't care. They want what they want, and they want it, and they're going to inflict fear whatever way possible. And he was to that point where he was inflicting fear and pain the any way he possibly could. And so that's why I tell you, that the longer you stay in the situation, especially hope is the last thing to go, and you just can't see it, because I see all the good things. When it's good, and he's great, or she's wonderful, and but what's happening is you're becoming desensitized to your environment. You become desensitized to the trauma and the brutality and the dangers of being with this individual. You see the red flags, you see certain things, but your alert system has been toned down. If you hit your snooze button on your clock, which many of us have done because you were just tired, You keep hitting that snooze button, eventually you don't hear the alarm going off anymore. You keep hitting the snooze button, eventually you're going to oversleep. But it get to a point where you don't even hear your alarm anymore. So now you're checking your clock to see if the alarm is even going off, and it is. You're just not hearing it because now you've become immune to it. Likewise, for those of you that are in these situations, you see something is not right. You know something is not right with them. You know something is not normal. You're saying it. You're saying it and we're teaching it, but you see something is not right. But in your heart of hearts, you're hoping that your love is going to change this individual. You can't change a mental disorder. You cannot change a mental illness. And when I say you can't change a mental illness, I'm talking about the personality disorder. You can't change a personality disorder. And a person has to want to change. And a narcissist doesn't see anything wrong with themselves. They see everybody else as something wrong with them. I know I was reading somewhere where it said that when a narcissist goes to therapy, everybody around them, everybody gets therapy but the narcissist, because everybody's the problem. The narcissist is not. And the more you tell them what the problem is, what's really happening is the more you're telling them their weaknesses, the more you're telling them that they're not perfect, the more you're telling them that that those feelings of rejection and abandonment that they struggle with, that paranoia, that they're struggling with anyway, the more you tell them what's wrong with them is the more you're solidifying what they're thinking about themselves anyway. Why do you think they project on people? Why do you think they project on people? You are the movie screen, and they project their negativity and their ugliness on you. They're always accusing you of something. They're always telling you about something, but they're projecting themselves onto you. And the problem that most people run into is they take those words and they make those words themselves. And then you wonder why your narrative changes. At one point in time, you didn't think that I can never make it without them. What am I supposed to do? I'm not educated. I'm not smart enough. What am I supposed to do out here in this world? At one point in time, you didn't sound like that. And now your friends are looking at you wondering what has happened because your narrative has changed. Yeah, because you have been in that environment with that narcissist for so long that they have influenced your narrative, your thought patterns, the things that you think about yourself, the things that you used to think in the first place. You have been influenced, and now you have been desensitized. Not only desensitized, your language has changed. So your language starts mirroring their language, and their language is nothing but negativity. And then they have the audacity to pretend that they have empathy, and they tell you things like, I don't want to be this way. I'm aware of trust me, they're aware of how they are. They are aware of how they are. When they're in the midst of love bombing or hoovering, trying to bring you back in or talking to other people, they will confess their sins one to another. They will tell you all the things about themselves that you have said. They're repeating what you say, but they also would tell you, I know that I'm a liar. I know that I always lie. I know that I'm a swindler. I know that I'm always telling a lie to do this. I know I'm always trying to be seen. I know I'm harsh. I know that some of the things that I say is not right. I know that I tear people down. I know that I tear my children down. Check this out. And then they turn around and try to throw in a little empathy to make you feel bad for them. And they say things like, I just want the best, and sometimes I just don't know how to communicate. I just want the best, and I don't want, so they're justifying what they're doing now. They're always justifying, I just want the best for them, and I know I went through this right here, and I don't want to, I don't want them to turn out like me, and so that's why I'm so harsh, because I get nervous and fearful that they'll turn out like me, and so I don't want that to happen, so I'm really hard on them, and yeah, I could have chose my words wisely, and and I'm sorry, I'm not gonna scream and yell again. I'm not going to, lose my cool. I'm not gonna do this. Listen, one thing that I can tell you, give them a few minutes, and especially if they're the ones that really have no self-control, they can't control themselves for a very long time. Some of them have extended it, so they can hold out for a little while before they break. But every narcissist, and when they say that, just a matter of time. Within moments, when they finally got what they want, within a few seconds, within a few hours, and they lose it, and everything that they said, it doesn't matter anymore because they got what they wanted. Because they don't esteem anybody. They don't have respect for anybody. They don't care about anybody. They only care about what they want, when they want it, and how you make me feel. Listen, don't get desensitized. Come out of your situation and get help immediately.